Hey there, guys. So I just beat the evil princess Byalcua, new Chamber of Arms Nemesis reverse whatever trial with all missions. I posted like a preview video earlier, but now I'm going to be showing you the guide on how to beat it and how to clear this fight. It's not easy at all. Keep that in mind. This is like the reverse Chamber of Arms. So there's going to be 12 new bosses, and they're all like the arch nemesis of the original Chamber of Arms bosses. This one is the like arch nemesis of Sheraton. Apparently, it's like related to her in some way. I'm not sure the exact lore, but they're related. So let's go and do the fight, and I'll show my gear. I'll explain everything, etc. So by beating the trial, you get the unit Sheraton. She seems like a decent unit. You can check her wiki page if you want to, and then you've got to beat the EX stage of the old Sheraton trial, which now has a new version. To get her shards. Now I will be doing that later in a different video. That's a much easier fight than this one. So the missions are deal light element damage, use 5 or less items, and no KOs. I did them all on my first, not on my first try. I did them all on my first clear. It took a bunch of tries. So we're going to be taking Squall as our DPS. Now the reason for this is the fight is very demanding. There's so much going on with this fight. You need a bunch of stuff. For one thing, the boss constantly dispels your party. Every other turn in phase 1, like 2 out of 5 turns, no. Yeah, 2 out of 5 turns in phase 2, and then, no, 3 out of 7 turns in phase 2, and then 2 out of 6 turns in phase 3. Constantly dispelling your party. She also dispels herself every other turn in phase 1. So we need someone that's can manage with dispels. Squall is a good option. He's true brave shift. He's also a breaker. He's going to be our breaker and damage dealer. The boss is a human bug demon. So we're taking Ihana for the human and bug killer, and General Fina for the demon killer. General Fina and Ihana also do stat and LB buffs. They also do imbues. They also do LB fill. All of this is important. Runda is for filling the LB gauge, also the mitigation. Phase 3 is ridiculously painful, and Runda is going to be, at least for my team, critical to survival. We need that 85 mitigation. But also, he's great at filling the LB gauge, which is very important for this party. And then Ash. Ash is chosen for one reason primarily over Cecil. Her normal attack is a perfect dispel. The boss puts up a human killer buff throughout the fight in phase 2 and 3. He puts it up a lot. You have to get rid of it. If you leave that human killer buff there, you're going to die. It makes the boss deal trillions of damage. It's completely absurd. I'm not sure how high it is, but it is very high, and you will die if the boss has that human killer undispelled. Except on turns where Runda is covering all the damage. Runda's immune to it. But there's going to be a lot of turns where the party takes damage, and you got to get rid of that human killer. But Ash is with a counter build, and she'll be countering her perfect dispel, and it saves us actions. That's why she's chosen. So let's get in here, and I'll show you phase 1 and phase 2, and then I'll show you how to do phase 3, etc. So here is her phase 1. Now phase 1, like I said, dispels the party every other turn, and herself every other turn, starting on turn 1. It's really obnoxious. So we're going to just guard Ihana for now, because there's really no point in doing anything on phase 1. So we're going to go ahead and just break the boss, and other than that, literally doesn't really matter. Just break the boss and you're good. General Fina, status immunity. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. You got to have status immunity, stop immunity, charm immunity all the time. And there's like a permanent, once it goes up, ailment imperil, so you have to be immune from gear as well as a buff always. That's why we're taking General Fina, and then just some LB fill. Runda's going to mitigate on turn 1 with his LB, and turn 1 is magic damage. So Ash is going to cover Shelga and do this for light and dark resist. Phase 1 is a lot of light and dark magical damage. Okay, so here we go. So the boss is going to do some attacks, and then AoE dispel everything, herself and us. This is every other turn in phase 1. So we're gonna get out of phase 1 as quickly as we possibly can. We're gonna do all the bursts in phase 1 to just get out of it. Also, the boss goes immune to physical damage after a few turns. So you really, really got to get out of phase 1 as quickly as you can. At least the way I'm doing this clear. You know, there are I'm sure there's other ways, but yeah, we're getting out of phase 1 quickly. So we've been completely dispelled. So we're going to just reload Ash to again Shelga, cover, and resist buff. This turn, Runda is going to cover, Protectka, and provoke +2 for mitigation. There's going to be physical damage on this turn. Thankfully, Runda can cover it and handle it for the most part. Now, we're going to use General Fina to put back up the immunity buff, gotta have it, AoE Demon Killer, and we're going to do her LB and stat buff for the party. Now, my Squall is going to Light Imbue, we're going to 150 Amplify and Modifier buff. Friend Squall is going to Light Imbue, 150 Amplify, and he's got a break because the boss dispelled her own breaks. And Ihana will start putting up 250 killers on my Squall for now, and then the Friend Squall next turn. So, turn 2, there's no dispel, just physical damage, and some fixed damage. The physical damage, not too bad. Well, it is too bad, actually. Yeah, it'll wreck your world unless you're using a really bulky tank. We're using Runda, so we're okay. Okay, so here is turn 3. So now we're going to go ahead and burst. We've got the amplifies on the Squall. They're good to go. We've got the LB buff from Fina. Let's do some burst damage. Before we do that, though, let's have Ihana put up killers on the Friend Squall. Yeah, we're doing our biggest burst right now. Let's go ahead and shift. Also, the boss did a 100 stat break on us, which unfortunately General Fina is one of her weaknesses, is she doesn't do stat break immunity, but she can cure it. So we're going to go ahead and cure all debuffs with General Fina. We're going to do some LB fill, and we're going to do a rolling fire amplify on my guy, but we're going to do it to the point where I'm going to click Fina to cure the debuffs, I'm going to chain the Squalls, and then the multicast will do the fire amp and all after our LB is done. So we're going to click this, we're going to go and chain these, and do some burst damage right here. Phase 2 starts at 50%, by the way. So, you know, we really got to get out of Phase 1 by turn 5, or the boss goes immune to physical damage on the 5th turn. So, but we're going to. Okay, we're not going to use Runda's SLB this turn because we're getting dispelled, and we're going to need it later for turn 4. It really hurts. So we're going to go ahead and just triple bolting to get some LB drops, and Ash with his guard, because this is the painful turn. Okay, so magic damage on this turn. With guarding Ash, she should survive here. She did. There we go. Okay. So now we're dispelled again. So he dispelled us, and she dispelled herself. So she has no buffs, except magic immunity. Yeah, it's these dispels are the biggest headache. And you saw Ash countering with perfect dispel, etc. Okay, now turn 4, we are going to use the Squalls back to the base form. The base forms are using 1000% fill rate. We're going to use Break ×2, and then we're going to use his his most element imperil, specifically the fire imperil, because now we're going fire. So to the base form with Squall, and he's going to do Break ×2, and the reason we're doing it ×2, it fills 10 LB gauge per cast, and he's going to use his LB modifier cooldown. Okay, Ihana is going to once again put up single target 250 killers. Let's see, General Fina. Well, we got to have immunity buff. We got dispelled. So immunity, we're going to do single target demon killer on mine, and then we're going to do fire imbue. AoE fire imbue the party. This turn, Runda will SLB. That'll fill the LB gauge the rest of the way on the Squalls. Turn 4. Turn 4 is a flurry of single target attacks on Runda. We're fine though. Runda now has his SLB. So, oh, whoops, I forgot. And we're going to go to the shift form with Ash and do her shifted LB for the stat buff and the LB buff. This is only single target physical damage on this turn. Okay, but this time we have Runda's SLB active, so it's pretty fine. Runda's SLB is a really big deal in this fight, for the way I'm doing it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get out of Phase 1. The 100 Fire Amplify is now active. So we're going to go ahead and do our shifted LB. We haven't done Greatsword Imperil yet, but that's okay. We don't have time for it in this phase. Not to mention the boss constantly dispels herself anyway. So we're going to put up the big 250 killers on Friend. And I'm going to go ahead and burst, and this should push the rest of the way in phase 1. Boom. Phase 1 handled. Now we're in phase 2. Now, phase 2 and phase 3, the boss does not dispel herself anymore. She no longer dispels herself, so now we can start putting up things like weapon imperils and not worry about it being dispelled every turn. She does still dispel our party, but thankfully a little bit less often in phase 2, so not quite as bad. Anyway, Runda is going to just do triple bolting. We're getting full dispelled, so yeah, we're just using this turn to just get buffs or breaks and all up. So now we're going to start using Ash's breaks as well. Ash has 87 attack and magic break, and that's obviously a big deal in a boss with no stat passives. And then a bolting strike just to get some crystal drops. And then General Fina can triple cast LB fill, which also heals the party, fills LB gauge, and fills mana. Okay, here comes phase 2. On the transition, she'll attack Runda a little bit. It's not that big a deal. And she looks really cool in phase 2. So she's going to take her dress off, and here comes the bad version of this boss. Spider. Okay, some fixed damage on Runda, no big deal. AoE dispel, because, you know, this boss just loves to dispel all the time. Okay, so, but she didn't dispel herself. That's the cool thing. Oh, I didn't even mention. She gains permanent buffs that cannot be dispelled as the phases go on. So now she has a 60% unremovable permanent defense and spirit buff and a small attack and magic buff. This becomes 150% in phase 3, which is why phase 3 is such cancer. She takes like no damage in phase 3, and she starts healing in phase 3. We'll talk about that more when we get there. Phase 3 begins at 20%. So, we got completely dispelled. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Ihana. Oh, and by the way, the boss is dispelling us again this turn. So putting up buffs, we do need to use some buffs to survive, but buffing DPS doesn't matter. So we're just going to go ahead and use Ihana to triple fill LB gauge. We're going to use my Squall to go to the base form and use his LB for the Great Sword in Peril. Remember, that won't be dispelled anymore. Friend is going to go to the base form and break the boss. So double break and imperil. We are going to now be going with fire damage. So we're going to use, make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, we're going to go with an all in peril. Okay, my turn chart, Runda will do his LB. That is going to give us mitigation to survive this turn. This is AoE physical damage this turn. We're not going to cover it because it's relatively low damage on this turn. Ash will put up both the breaks, and we're going to do her cover. The cover is also a stat buff for the reason we're doing that. And then Fina, every time you're dispelled, you need the immunity buff. So immunity buff, and then just double LB fill, which also heals the party. Okay, so phase 2 is honestly not super dangerous. There's relatively low damage in phase 2 as long as you always dispel that human killer buff, which you'll do on some turns, and I'll point it out. It's just, phase 2 is just a little bit of a slog, but it's pretty simple, and there's not many dispels. Now, she did just dispel us. We're not going to get dispelled again until turn 10. So we have turns 7, 8, 9, and 10 to do some damage. Unfortunately, it's not going to be that much damage because now the boss has these huge buffs. And with no stats, no stat passives, that's a big difference. But we did get completely dispelled. So my guy is going to break the boss. We're going to go with light for now. We're going to imbue light, and we're going to use his LB modifier cooldown, while friend is going to light imbue. We got to use the AoE amplify for light. So AoE imbue, amplify light, and then break, just because. Ihana will use her SLB, and it'll still be there for the next few turns. Runda is not going to SLB yet. We're going to wait. We're going to cover with Runda. We're going to protect Ga. And we're going to... No, we're not going to provoke. We're not going to provoke. We're going to bolting strike. Yeah. Oh, the boss also berserks. Everything's going on in this fight. So there's going to be a berserk. We don't want Runda berserk, but we don't mind if Ash gets berserk. So Ash is going to Shelga, cover, and provoke +2. There's going to be magic damage this turn. This phase is, by memory, is it wind and fire? I think it's wind and fire damage in phase 2. It doesn't matter. Ash is wearing a resistance gear. Okay, let's immunity buff yet again. Let's AoE Demon Killer, and then even bigger single target 250 Demon Killer, My Squall. Okay, so we're going to start dealing some damage next turn. So here is some magic damage. It's not too super bad. It does hurt a little bit, and we're not wearing immunity. It's very hard to gear for immunity. You need 400 resist to like 6 different elements to get full immunity. So we're not fully immune. We're just mitigating it the best we can. And there's Ash countering her Perfect Dispel. It's a Perfect Dispel. It does not remove our debuffs, only buffs. The boss hasn't cast... oh, and she's Berserk too. The boss hasn't cast her Human Killer yet. So now we're on turn 8. So we're going to use Ihana to put up some bigger killer buffs on My Squall. And then we're going to go ahead and do the Shifted LB. And now we have the Great Sword in peril. So now we'll be doing, well, less damage because now the boss has her buffs. Let me look at my turn chart. Did I need to do anything else? No, I didn't. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and deal a little bit of damage right here. Yeah, very, very bulky in Phase 2. Wait till you see Phase 3. You're going to love it. Okay, Runda on this turn, after the LBs, are going to use this SLB. That'll help refill the Squalls. And then Fina. We want to get rid of that Berserk, so Ash is Berserk for a few turns, so Fina will Perfect Cure to get rid of the Berserk. She's actually a pretty good unit. And then we're going to double LB fill. And it looked like My Squall was a little unfortunate on drops, so that's fine, though. We can fill it next turn. Okay, Runda's covering. Yeah, like I said, the damage in Phase 2 is pretty low, so it's very safe. Phase 1 and Phase 3 deal high damage. Phase 2 is pretty low damage. No, it's not really not that hard. Okay, so we're going to use Fina to... what are we doing with Fina? Oh, yeah. We're going to do Demon Killer, bigger on My Squall, and then some LB fill. Oh, we don't actually need it. Okay, so we're going to use LB... Well, I did it anyway. And we're going to burst. I jumped the gun there. I was supposed to use Ihana to kill or buff the friend. Whoopsie. Well, okay, whatever. Ihana will just fill LB gauge. I kind of misclicked and messed it up. Doesn't really matter that much. So this turn we'll go ahead and bolt or LB with Runda. Again, Runda's helping fill LB gauge. And Ash is going to, this turn is single target physical damage. So Ash will just reapply the 87 breaks and do a bolting strike to get more crystal drops. Okay, yeah, turn 4. Okay, now on turn 4, the boss is going to put up the Human Killer buff. Now, unfortunately, this is kind of a bad turn of this. It's only single target damage, and here's the Human Killer. If you don't dispel that Human Killer, you're dead, unless you're covering with a non-human. Now, because the boss didn't do magic, we didn't counter with Ash, so we're going to just full dispel the boss. So we're going to use premium, or not premium, General Fina to dispel the boss, and then just double LB fill. And that'll get the Squalls nice and topped up again. Okay, My Squall is going to go to the base form. Before we do this, Friend Squall, that is wearing, things like paintbrush, etc. Go to the base form, reapply the Great Sword in peril. Let's break the boss, and then we're going to all in peril, and we're getting dispel this turn. And then we'll light in peril. So we're going to just use Ihana to triple LB fill. Yeah, this turn we're getting full dispelled, so any buffs don't really matter. We'll just reload Ash, reapply breaks. Runda can just LB again to fill more LB gauge. And then the friend with the proper gear setup should fill his LB gauge all the way at the end because of the paintbrush. Boom. That's what you need. You need a really specialized Squall for this. And, if you got to ask your friends to build that way, mine's built the same way. It allows us to get tons of LB gauge. So we got completely dispelled there. Now we're on turn 6 of the rotation. Yeah, completely dispelled. This is an AoE magic turn. So we need also a Berserk again. So we need, thankfully, the cure on Fiend is on a 3-turn cooldown. So we're going to cover Shelga and provoke with, because Runda's passive provoking, but Runda's lower in the party slot. We're going to go ahead and use some LB on these guys. We're going to SLB our Ihana. That's going to put up all the killers, as well as stat buff, LB buff, etc. Okay, we also need, and we're not currently imbued, so we're going to use Fina to imbue fire to the party because we're too busy to imbue ourselves. We're going to status immunity, and we're going to demon killer. We don't have AoE available. We'll do single target killer on mine. Now wait on Runda. So let's go ahead and do some LB damage. Okay, Runda will go ahead and put up his LB, which refills LB gauge, as you see. Okay, and then this turn is AoE magic damage. But this time we have Runda's SLB, so 85% mitigation, so Ash is fine. Okay, now we're on turn 7 of the Phase 2 rotation. Phase 2 is a 7-turn repeating rotation. We're on turn 7. Ash is Berserk. Now, we could cure Ash if we wanted to, but on turn 7, the boss full dispels our party anyway, which is going to dispel the Berserk. And it's kind of weird. He Berserks you and then dispels it anyway for you. So there's really no need to cure it on turn... there's really no need to cure it on turn 7 of the Phase 2 rotation. It's turn 12, but this is turn 7 of the rotation that's going to repeat. Anyway, so we're going to go into this LB again. So we need to fill LB gauge for the Squalls. You can either use Ihana or Fina. Ihana fills slightly less, and we don't need much on my Squall, so we'll just triple Ihana and fill, and we'll go ahead and do another burst on the Squalls. So let's do a little bit of damage here. Okay, the boss is very bulky. And now we're going to fill LB gauge again with premium. I keep saying premium. She's not premium. General Fina. She may as well be. General Fina. Don't use the LB of Runda, though, because we're going to need it next turn. So Runda will just cover and double bolting for crystal drops. We're getting dispelled again. Okay, that was the Phase 2 rotation. I'm going to do one more cycle. Honestly, the next cycle we're going to be in Phase 3. So I'll just keep recording. I probably should cut the video here, but no, we're going to keep going. So we got completely dispelled there. So, completely dispelled, so we need to rebuff. So we're going to immunity buff and double fill LB gauge with General Fina to the base form with you, and we will LB for the Sword in Peril, Great Sword in Peril, and then mine will apply breaks. Oh, we're getting dispelled again. Oh my god, these dispelled. Yeah, we're getting dispelled back to back in this phase. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and reload Ihana and do some more LB fill. This turn, we do need mitigation to survive, though. It's an AoE physical turn. So we're going to LB Runda for survival, and Ash will double break the boss with both breaks and cast cover for the stat buff. Okay. This is an AoE physical turn. Remember, the rotation is repeating. You can see the turn chart where I'll show you the rotation. Yeah, pretty low damage with Runda, and that's why I took it. The damage really ramps up in Phase 3. Okay, so turn 14, we just got dispelled, so we need one of them to do, let's see, break, LB cooldown, and we'll do light imbue this time. Friend will light imbue. Your LB is filled. Light imbue. Oops. AoE amplify and LB cooldown. Okay. Ihana can start casting big killers. We'll cast them on mine for now because it's EX3. We got dispelled, so we need immunity buff. We're gonna do the LB buff with General Fina this time, and AoE Demon Killer. Yeah, this turn we got 4 turns of DPS right now. We're gonna go ahead and cover, Protectka, and nope. Cover, Protectka, and bolting, and then we're getting Berserk. So we're going to this. We're going to provoke that Berserk and Shelga. That way you can cover the magic damage. Okay. It hurts. Oh my god, Ash. This boss hurts a lot. Like a whole lot. But she didn't die. We're good. Turn 15. Turn 15, we are going to, let's see, Ash's Berserk. We need to cure with Fiend, and we need to do some LBs. So LBs, and we need to also do single target killers on the friend this turn. Okay, so we're going to big killer on the friend, killer on the friend, and there we go. And let's see, let's go ahead and, yep, the boss has Great Sword in Peril and all that. Deal a little bit of damage here. Not bad. We SLB afterwards, and we will cure the Berserk and fill LB gauge with General Fina. It'll also heal. It'll heal Ash up. Not quite enough, but that's okay. This is a physical turn. Yeah, and we're covering with Runda, who is going to take like nothing. We just did his SLB. Now it is time to LB again. So we will kill her first. So once again, big killers. Killers on mine this time because they're wearing off. We'll reload you, and we'll go ahead and do some more damage. This is a single target turn. Let's see. So let's go ahead and triple fill LB gauge after that. We'll use Runda to LB for more fill. And then Ash will put up the 87 breaks. And she'll bolt in for crystal drops. Alright, we're almost to phase 3, where things get even worse. Okay, there's the AoE death. Not too big a deal. We're immune. And then the boss did, of course, put up the human killer. And as you know, we're not counter it. The counter is for phase 3. You'll see. She killers a lot in phase 3. Turn 17 is a reset-up turn. So we gotta dispel the boss. So we're going to dispel the human killer because we didn't counter it. And then go ahead and LB fill twice. Okay, mine will go to the base form, where we will LB. Friend will go to the base form, where that's for the Great Sword in Peril, where we will break the boss. We will all in peril and wholly in peril. We're getting dispelled this turn, so no point to buff. We're getting dispelled yet again. So just go ahead and reapply or re-LB fill. Do this for LB fill, and you can just break and bolting again for more crystal drops. Okay, and then because of the paintbrush and all that, the LB auto-fills to the maximum. There's the AoE Dispel. Love it. Love it. So now we're going to SLB our Ihana, reapply all the buffs, go to the shift form, deal some damage here. Before we do that, we need to imbue the party. We lost our imbue, so we're going to fire imbue. We're going to Demon Killer. The AoE is on cooldowns. We'll just single target Demon Killer mine. And we will immunity. Oh, we didn't do immunity buff. Always got to do that immunity buff. Otherwise, we could stop, charm, slept, petrified, etc. Let's see. Yep. Let's go ahead and deal the damage. Okay, we're almost there. We will SLB to fill LB gauge, and we will, let's see, cover, shell, provoke. Berserk. So cover, provoke the Berserk, and Shelga. And we took a lot of damage last time, so hopefully she doesn't this time. I'm not wearing a ton of water and wind resist, or wind resist. I actually am wearing high water. I'm kind of low in wind. So, or fire. No, I'm high in fire. It must be, I mean, I can always look. Okay, I'm at negative 15 fire and negative... It's hard to gear for immunity. It really is, on this fight. Alright, so turn 19 is the last turn of the rotation. We need to LB again, so let's... looks like the friend is a little bit lower on LB gauge than usual, so we're going to go ahead and triple fill with Athena first, because she heals more than the other one. Let's go ahead and do some damage here. Burst it up. Okay. Ihana can triple fill. And we're going into the next phase. Let's see. Runda will not use his LB. He will cover and double bolting for crystal drops. Okay. So we're gonna push the boss on turn 22 because that lets all our cooldowns and all align. So there's a dispel. So we need to, let's see, immunity buff. Yeah, immunity buff and double LB fill. Runda can LB here. We can use one of the squalls to put up Great Sword in Peril. The other one can go to the base form. And we need to stat break all in Peril. And I'm not entirely sure why I'm doing Holy in Peril, but it's on my turn chart, so we're going to do it. It's kind of literally redundant. Ihana can fill LB gauge, and Ash, let's see, on this turn, it's only AoE physical, and we're getting dispelled anyway. So we'll just break the boss and cover for the stat buff. You always want that stat buff of some form. That turn we didn't do a stat buff, so we needed it from that way. Okay, so we're getting dispelled again. So fixed damage, some magic damage, some physical damage, and then a dispel, no problem. Okay, so now we're going to get ready for bursting again. So Squall will imbue himself twice, and we're going to save that cooldown. And, oh, what am I doing? No. Break and double imbue. Yeah, whatever. And you, and then AoE amplify. Let's see. Ihana will start putting some killers up. Let's see. Runda will do the SLB. Let's see. Cover Shelga and bolting with Ash. Cover Shelga and bolting. Let's see. And you can just fill LB gauge. Oh, nope. What am I doing? Oh my god. No, we got dispelled. It's, yeah, we need immunity buff. We did the imbue on Squall, so immunity buff. Oh, wrong one. LB buff and stat buff and AoE demon killer. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna push phase 3 on turn 22. Yeah, phase 1 and phase 2 of this trial are well designed, and I enjoyed figuring them out. I did not enjoy phase 3, and you'll see why in a second. Talk about a slog. Okay, so Runda was berserk there, which is fine. Okay, so on the threshold, the boss dispels us again. So the boss is going to dispel Runda's berserk for us, allowing Ash to put up those good breaks this turn, as well as just a bolting for, but not yet. Go ahead and push the boss first. So we're going to do this. And we need killers from Ihana first. So honestly, we don't need the killers. We're gonna push the boss anyway. So we're gonna use Ihana for LB fill instead. So we will push the boss. I hope we should. We did. Okay, that way, you know, if you're worried about it, you can use Ihana to use more killers than the friend. We don't need to. So we're gonna go ahead and fill LB gauge. We're gonna have Ash reapply breaks, and we'll just fill LB gauge with you. We're getting dispelled again. So on the threshold, there's some single target physical damage. Runda's provoking it, no big deal. The dispels are always at the end of the turn, so you're not going to worry about that. Okay, here's phase 3. Unfortunately, this is the same sprite. So there's the dispel. Okay, now, phase 3, these buffs have gone to 150%. The damage we're going to be dealing is so low. Phase 3 is also a 6-turn repeating rotation. She dispels on the first and the 4th turn of the rotation. She does Human Killer on the 1st, 4th, and 6th turn of the rotation. She berserks on turn 3 of the rotation. And she heals on turn 6 of the rotation by 5%, which sounds low until you realize we're dealing between 0 and 1% per burst. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into it. So, we got completely dispelled. So, we are going to start off with Squall putting up the Great Sword in Peril. Friend Squall will then do Break. We will all in Peril, and we will modify our buff. Ihana will... Runda is going to LB on the first turn of the rotation, normal LB. Fina will... You don't need immunity buff on turn 1 of the rotation. So for that turn, we can just do the LB fill. Now, once the rotations repeat, we have to dispel the boss on this turn. But for this very first turn, we don't. Ihana can fill more LB gauge as well. Let's see. And there's magic damage. Okay, now on this phase, the boss does magic and physical at the same time. Thankfully, on turn 1 and 2, the physical damage is pretty low. Runda's mitigation is all you need. So we're gonna eat the physical and cover the magic. So we're gonna cover Shelga, and we're gonna use an attack break, a bigger attack break. We already did 85 with Squall. That's an 87 attack only. Okay, I think it's water and wind, or water and water and earth in phase 2, 3. Anyway, so we got dispelled, of course. Oh, and the boss put up the killer buff that turn. Yeah, so the boss killered on turn 1 as well, but Ash removed the frost. That's why Ash is countering for that right there. We don't have to dispel the boss, because if we did have to dispel the boss, that Greatsword in Peril we put up would be gone. The breaks we put up would be gone. Because Ash counterattack perfect dispelled, it got rid of that killer buff, so we can go straight into damage. So we're going to SLB our Ihana. We're going to shift the Squalls and do their LB. Not yet though, not yet. So Ihana's LB SLB puts up all the killers we need, etc. Except for Demon. So we're going to Fina is going to immunity buff. We got dispelled. So immunity buff, we're going to fire imbue. We're going pure fire the rest of the fight. We're never doing holy again. All fire. Because Squalls are too busy to ever actually imbue holy. So immunity, fire, and AoE demon killer. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and do our damage before we do anything else. Okay, so we're fully buffed. You know, we've got 460 demon, 450 human, 450 bug, you know, good breaks, etc. And watch the damage we deal in phase 2. Phase 3. %, and the boss heals 5% every 6 turns. And we can't LB every single turn, literally. We have to spend some turns setting up. I'll show you why we're still going to win because of that. But let's keep going for now. So this is phase 2 of the rotation. Turn 24. So we did that. Now we need SLB on Runda. That also fills the party. We also need we got the spell. So we need cover again. We need Shelga. And we're not going to provoke the Berserk with Ash anymore. Runda's taking all the Berserks from now on. But this turn is actually no Berserk. And then just Bolty Strike. We Bolty Strike just for crystal drops. Okay. This turn is, again, very, very low damage. Some magic damage, some weak physical damage. This is a low damage turn. The big damage turns are coming later. You'll see in a minute. So now we're going into turn 3 of the rotation. This turn, the boss is going to Berserk and do some single target damage, but it's fine. Okay, so this is where you have to start judging how your party is going. Also, we're going to go to the base form with the Squalls, who are wearing 1000% fill rate. And Ash, this turn, has nothing to do. So she's going to, while the Squalls are in the base form, she's going to triple cast Bolting and get some crystal drops, hopefully to the Squalls. Okay, we didn't quite get my Squall filled up. We're going to use Runda to cover and then just double Bolting to try to get a crystal drop on my Squall. Didn't get it. Okay, so here's your choice here. Here's your choice. You can either do bigger killers with Ihana, or Ihana can do some fill rate. I think it's more damage to have Ihana fill the Squall that was missing. Now, when your Squalls get enough crystals from drops, Ihana can do single target killers this turn. If you don't fill the Squalls, use Ihana to top them off, but don't use Fina just yet. So now we're going to go ahead and do some damage again. So, you know, LB yet again. Another 1%. Now Fina will do triple fill. Okay, this turn is just single target and a berserk. Okay, after your turn starts, you're going to want to shift the squalls immediately, and I'll show you why. Hold on. Because run does berserk. So as soon as your turn starts, go to the base with both the squalls so that they get 1,000% fill rate from any crystals they may get from the... So you see that? You see my squall? Because that crystal went to him? Look at all. Look at all. Oh, beautiful. That's because we got 1,000% fill rate. We want to get as much crystals as we can from the boss as they drop. This turn is turn 4 of the rotation. What do we do this turn? We're going to reapply debuffs on the boss this turn. Okay, so it looks like we don't quite have enough on the squalls yet. We're going to use Ihana to, again, you have to really evaluate what's going on turn by turn. So we're going to use Ihana to fill my squall, and then LB, but the Great Sword in Peril. And then Friend Squall will do the other stuff, the break, and then the Imperil. Okay, now here is, hold on, let's go ahead and do, we need to do an attack break and a double bolting on Ash as well. Hopefully some crystals will go to my squall. They didn't. That was horrible luck. It's okay. Okay, so here is why sometimes we'll deal an extra 1% per cycle, is the 100 amplify rolling cooldown on Fina. So Fina is going to 100 amplify my squall, and then just a double fill rate, double LB fill. Okay, so with that, we're going to deal an extra 1% damage over the usual. Run does berserk. Okay, this is why it's fine. So Runda got berserked, but then the boss dispels you the next turn anyway, so we're completely dispelled. Run is no longer berserk. So you don't have to cure berserk in phase 3. You lose a turn from it, but you don't have to cure it. Okay, so we did get berserked. So now we're going to remember that I gave my squall 100 amplify. Whoop, go back to the base form. Oh, also, last turn, killers. The boss has killers. Unfortunately, we didn't counter, because that turn was a no magic turn. So we don't want to dispel the boss, because the boss is fully debuffed, the Great Sword in Peril, etc. So we're just going to normal attack Ash manually and get rid of that killer. You got to get rid of the killers. On turn 5 of the rotation, Ash just normal attacks. Okay, you have two options here. You can either... No, okay, we always... This is a big burst turn. You always got to give your big squall the best killers on this turn, no matter what. You got to do that. Okay, we're also going to do immunity. We got dispelled, so immunity buff. We need fire imbue. And we need an LB buff. So we're going to use an LB buff from General Fina. Okay, so we're just not going to use my squall this turn. We're going to just triple Absolute Mirror of Equity in the base form while the friend does the LB. You got to gauge. When you're lucky on crystals, it's great. When you're unlucky on crystals, you're unlucky. It happens. That's okay, though, because next turn we're getting the big burst. After you do that, use Runda's SLB, and that'll refill. Okay? This turn is the most painful turn of the fight. Hopefully no one dies. The friend seems to be the squishiest. We'll see. So here comes some AoE physical damage. And a death. And some AoE physical... Okay, so... Thankfully, I'm not doing the entire phase 3. I would recommend... if your friend, ask them to bulk up a little bit more than this for the safety. Okay, so the friend did not doorpot their squall. I would ask your friend to please doorpot them defensively. That way, you don't run into that risk. Because here's my squall. You really want them bulkier, so mine's at 2,500, 2,100, and it makes a difference. You know, that turn is very, very painful, and there is variance for bosses. And, you know, over the course of 200 turns, it's very likely the boss would high roll and the friend would die. And your run would kind of be ruined because the friend would die, you'd fail a mission, but more importantly, you would fall behind and the boss is going to heal all the damage you've been doing. So yeah, try to get your friend to gear a little bit bulkier, but that's fine. He didn't die right now, so we're going to keep going. And then we're going to, this is turn 6 of the rotation. So we're going to LB again. So we're going to use Fina to LB fill twice and 250 Demon Killer on the person that got the big amplify. And we're going to shift and deal some damage. And oh, what am I doing? Stop that. So LBU, shifted LBU, and deal some damage. Okay, and then Ihana, after that, we will triple fill LB gauge. Runda, don't use the LB here. We're going to cover and double thing. Okay, so that attack the boss did on turn 5, she does that same attack twice on turn 6. We have to cover it with Runda. We couldn't cover with Runda on turn 5 because we just got dispelled. We had to use his SOB, so the party has to eat that attack. But the party cannot survive 2 of those attacks. But Runda's going to cover it on turn 6, and it's fine. So Runda will cover and just double bolting for crystal drops. And Ash, this turn has nothing to do, so she'll just triple bolting for crystal drops. Bolting, bolting, bolting. Okay, that is the rotation. So every turn 6, the boss will heal. So here's the double AoE physical. Runda covers it totally no problem. And the boss heals. Right back to where we started. Right back to where we started. Wasn't that fun? The rotation starts over. She's back to turn 1 of the rotation. Now, I'm gonna do one more rotation. I'm doing a little bit quicker this time. I'm not gonna explain everything. And you should, if your gear is the same as mine or better, we're doing about 5.5% damage per rotation. She's healing 5%. So that's why it took me 201 turns to win. I was technically dealing more damage than she was healing, and over 200 turns, I turtled my way all the way to the finish line, and I won. But yeah, I don't have an idea of a better team that I can personally run. I'm sure there are better teams, but I personally think this is my best team, and it worked. But yeah, so we're going to do one more rotation, then I'm going to cut the video. Now, when the next phase begins, the new rotation, notice the boss has killer buffs. If you forget those killer buffs, you're dead. So you got to dispel them, and we didn't counter that turn. So we have to dispel. So first action, dispel with General Fina, and then just double LB fill. So dispel, done. Now we're going to go ahead and reapply all the debuffs. So Great Sword in Peril, other Squall will do break, cooldown, and all in peril. We're getting dispelled this turn, so we'll just use some LB fill. Runda, we need to do mitigation on this turn, and Ash, it's a magic damage turn, so we're going to, cover, Shelga, and put up a big attack break, and fill LB gauge. Okay, so yeah, we're going to do one more rotation, and we should be at 14% at the end of this rotation, and then the boss will heal to 19%. So we should have made 1% progress in this rotation, and then I'll show you the team's gear and all that. Okay, so we got dispelled. So this turn, we're going to... Oh, I keep forgetting to point it out, but yeah, the boss put up killer buffs again, and Ash dispelled them for us. So we don't have to dispel the boss this time. So SLB, Shift U. We're going to LB both of them. Shift U, LB. We need immunity buff, we need fire imbue, and we need demon killer. So we're going to go ahead and do all this, do a little bit of damage. Okay, run double SLB, and we got dispelled, so we need Shelga, cover, and just bolting for more crystal drops. Okay. Okay. Some attacks. Let's see, turn 30. No, 31. We need killers. Killers, cover, bolting, bolting. Yeah, LB fill. So to the base form. Actually, you know, we're not going to go to the base form. We're going to just use you to No, we are. No, we're not. We're going to do killer. Killer. And we'll fill LB gauge with you. So LB, LB, LB. Do some damage. Okay, Runda on this turn will cover and double bolting. And this turn you will triple bolting. And we gotta hope for some good luck on drops next turn, because we didn't get many that time. Yeah, it's very RNG too, the drops. You can reset the app and change the RNG seed of your crystal drops, and I did that a few times because I, really wanted to get the best damage possible. Let's see, this turn is an LB fill turn. Let's see, attack. Gotta do attack break and some boltings, some crystal drops. Ugh. Alright, so we'll go ahead and use smaller fill with you, which is enough. Then we'll LBU for the Greatsword in Peril, break that, and we didn't do... it would have been better if the friend had filled up instead of my squall, but whatever. And then we will triple fill. Looks like my squall is not going to get his LB this turn, which is unfortunate. Ugh. Oh my god, it's so irritating. Alright, yeah, so this video, I had bad variants that run. Oh, maybe. Son of a freaking, I hate when this happens. I hate when this happens, it always happens too. My squall is literally like one away. So we're going to, there's really nothing we can do about that. Okay, so the boss says killers, we got a normal attack. Didn't get a crystal drop, I was hoping we would. We need immunity buff, we need imbue, and we need an LB buff. Otherwise we'll deal like no damage. We have to do all that. Alright, so instead of skipping damage, I'll do it this way. And we'll just hope for better luck on the next turn. Yeah, normally I would reset the app and reset the turn to guarantee that I get guarantee that I get the LB gauge. But just for the sake of demonstration, I'm not gonna do that. So we're gonna go ahead and do some killer. Deal some damage. Unfortunately, I'm probably not gonna get the LB gauge the next turn, which sucks, because we're going to be a little bit short. And there's oh my god, the friend. Yeah, that turn hurts. That turn hurts a lot. Alright, we're going to go ahead and triple LB fill. We're going to triple... Can we actually afford the killer? No, we need triple LB fill. Yeah, you have to be constantly evaluating and judging. Alright, there it is. That's enough. And do some burst. Boom. Progress. We have done 1% every 2 cycles. And yeah, so now Runda will cover and double hit. And Ash will just triple bolting. And that's the cycle. So we've made progress of 1%, because the boss is going to heal 5%, back at 19%. So every 2 cycles we do 1% damage, depending on RNG, depending on variance, depending on crystal drops. So if you miss crystals too many times in a cycle, you'll actually fall behind and lose progress. It's not very fun. But there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and drop here because I already did this fight, and I'm not spending 200 more turns doing it again just for the video. So you saw the fight. I'll have a turn chart in the comments. You can follow it, but you keep in mind for the turn chart, you've got to be flexible. Very, very random in phase 3 what happens with crystal drops. If you're getting bad luck on crystals, you've got to alter the actions. But when you get good luck on crystals, you can use more buffs on like Ihana and stuff. So there you go. and I'll go ahead and show you the team and explain some critical key points. All right, so you want to grab a good friend if you can, custom friend. So here's the party. I personally leave espers blank when I don't need an esper because it just clutters the skill menu. But if you need more stats, put an esper on. But we didn't need it anyway. So General Fina, like I said, is here for Demon Killer, LB Fill, status immunity, all that. No one in the party ever takes any magical damage except the magical tank. They only take physical damage. So give her high defense and HP. Although she's the healer, so we need high spirit on her as well. Because her heals have low modifier, so you need a really high spirit. There we go. Everyone needs death immunity. Gotta have death immunity on the entire party and status immunity on the entire party from some source. Otherwise, you will get statused and deathed. Just whatever card, and there's her setup. Just bulk as much HP, defense, status immunity, etc. as you can get. Also, don't forget her MP. Her 100 amplify is very expensive. It's like Nicole's, so make sure your MP is high enough. Ash is here, Blizzard Orb, because she counters Perfect Dispel. The boss does fire, water, wind, earth, light, and dark damage. Ash has a 150 light and dark buff, so we didn't have to gear for those. It's light and dark in phase 1, fire and water in phase 2, and wind and earth in phase 3. I don't know. The wiki has the information, so does Reddit. But whatever. So gear for that. Other than that, HP and spirit and shift form geared mostly identical. Death immunity, etc. There's the setup. A lot of resistance, status immunity, and then your best card. If you have a better one, go for it. And yeah, she counters Perfect Dispel. Very, very, very helpful for the site. Because otherwise, if she didn't, on phase 2 of the or turn 2 of the phase 3 rotation, we'd have to manually dispel that killer buff. We'd lose all the setup buffs. Yeah, she was important for me. Runda, LB Fill, mitigations, provoke, death immunity, of course. A lot of physical bulk. He eats a bunch of physical damage, obviously, but you don't need that much. He's also the passive provoker. And give him his provoke +2. That's really important for some turns. I forgot what turns, but some turns we don't have his LB buff, and we need that for survival and mitigation. And then just your best card. Ihana is chosen because of 250 killers and LB fill and SLB, etc., etc. She's very mana intensive, so I gave her 3 stars, death immunity, a lot of physical bulk, 52,000 HP. She actually has low defense but high HP, so whatever. Status immunity, death immunity. There we go. And then my Squall in the base form. This is kind of important. 1,000 fill rate, 7 or 12 LB per turn. Death immunity, status immunity, if you own it, the paintbrush, and then the Call of the Wild. All of these are critical to get his LB filled. You have to use him. We use so many LBs on this fight, back to back to back to back, and even though the party has tons of LB fill, we still need more. And yeah, so because his base form is our only source of Greatsword in Peril. So we got to go to the base form, LB, go to the shift. It's a big headache. So there you go. A lot of fill rate in the base form, as much as possible with auto casting, etc. Shift form, damage with status and death immunity. Also, if you can fit things like something like Chocobo Feather, ways to get LB per turn without any kind of a big DPS loss, that helps. It cuts down on RNG. So he had 7 LB per turn and 200% fill rate, and he's maxed on all killers. And he had also decent-ish bulk, 2,400 defense and 20,000 HP. Slightly on the low end, but it worked. And mine's EX3, so he has his own card. If you're not EX3, you want to have that. And then, a custom-built friend as well. Thanks to Togio, thanks to Deus, thanks to Zero, Star King, etc. A lot of people built for me. Ike built me one as well. A lot of people built me units for this trial, so thanks to all of you. Here's Togio's. Again, custom build. Very nice. He's got it all properly. The only small nitpick I would give, like I said, he's a little bit low on the bulk, slightly low on bulk. If you just dorp out those stats, and you'll be safe enough in phase 2. Anyway, there is the Evil Princess Bianca or whatever guide. I'll be working on the Sheraton EX. Not tonight. Soon, though. All right. See you in a bit.